Welcome to the SoulScape Show, where together we will explore and discover the depth and breadth of your soul. This is a very special panelist show with your host, Gabrielle Spencer, and special guests, Theresa Vee and Kari Samuels. Gabrielle Spencer is known for conscious creation for mature and old souls. She is a multidimensional intuitive channel and channels the golden beings of light and higher vibrational beings in her healing sessions as an inspirational speaker, author, and a practical spiritualist who assists you to raise your vibration, to reclaim your inner power, spiritual gifts and abilities, so that you can step into your next level spiritual tools, clearings, and activations that will unite your heart, mind, spirit, and soul to allow you to awaken and manifest your soul's highest destiny. Theresa Vee is known for helping people to create greater health and vibrancy while assisting them in finding the strength in their sensitivity and guiding them in the use of their superpowers. She's an international speaker, spiritual teacher, mentor, master of the healing arts, yoga, and wellness professional. She's also a master angelic channel. As a visionary, a love warrior, and a fierce stand for peace, she has been helping others to heal and accept their own power for more than 15 years. She empowers sensitives to stand in the truth of who they really are so that they can live their purpose and feel alive and fulfilled. Kari Samuels is an intuitive counselor and happiness coach who helps people reclaim their natural intuition so they can truly thrive. If there is an area in your life that needs more joy, Kari can shed light on dark places and lift your spirits with love using the unique blueprint encoded in your name and birth date. She can illuminate your destiny as well as your past life memories, childhood programming, and the specific subconscious beliefs that are blocking you from abundance. With the assistance of her spirit guides and archangels, she helps liberate you from self-sabotaging fears and emotions so you can fulfill your soul's purpose and shine your light in the world. Today, we are sharing and discussing empowering yourself through the divine blueprint of your soul. Hello and welcome everyone. This is Gabrielle Spencer. Thank you for joining us on the SoulScape Show. I'm super excited to have with me today two beautiful ladies. I'm calling them today the Ladies of Light. That's what came to me. It's because they're bright and shiny and they're just radiate, right? Health, love, warmth, and beauty in every way. And that's what we really want to talk about today is not just the beauty of the season, but the beauty of where we are. Finally, for a lot of us old and mature souls, it's finally we're here and we are embarking on the next decade, but also on more important things too. So I want to introduce first, we have with us Theresa Vee, and many of you know her. She is angelic and is a messenger of the angels and provides wonderful healing work, messages, and just awesome stuff. And you can know more about her out at soulscape.tv. She'll have her page up shortly, but at that soulscape.tv, it's the entire season is out there. So our next beautiful guest is Kari Samuels, and Kari is out on the West Coast, still enjoying maybe a little bit of sunshine today, and she is a master of numerology, also brings in messages and beautiful things to assist people to know their soul purpose and their life path. So all of us have that in common in our own way, delivering pieces that each person needs. And this is where we want to invite you, by participating in this show, to get more of the pieces, right? Because there's never just one piece, but sometimes there's a missing piece that helps you get to the next piece that you need for your own personal journey. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you
I'm
for
so
having me.
happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yes, I am happy you're both here because I admire you both. And I love having women and people, men too. I haven't had any on my show yet, but I just love the people that are willing to show up, be honest, tell it like it is, because that's the New Yorker in me, maybe. But I want us all just to share what it is that comes to you regarding where you find yourself, ladies. Tell us, where do you find yourself at the cusp of the new year? And how is it what you are doing out there in a broader sense impacting you and what it is you're wanting to do this next year? Is it changing? Is it evolving, expanding? What's happening? Whoever wants to go first, go ahead, Theresa, tell us.
Teresa.
Oh boy.
Or you don't have to. I just looked like you.
It looked like she was ready.
I
I know,
was just
right?
like, uh-oh. So I kind of feel like everything's always evolving. I feel like as soon as I get a handle on things, they change. So I don't feel like anything's changing in that respect. There's always something new coming through based on what's needed. Um, And where I find myself right now is I am just dying to lay on my couch next to the Christmas tree with a book. Like that's actually where I am. This is the time of year where I find myself just wanting to wind down and spend some me time, spend some recharge time, and really just immerse myself in the energy and the joy of the season and watching it through the eyes of the children in my life, which is awesome. And my work has shifted over the last month. I've been really guided to gear people up for the coming decade. So we changed everything for the last month of the year, where we've been doing really intense healing work with ease and grace with people, and really encouraging everyone energetically, mentally, and emotionally to be standing in our own power, in our own sovereignty, as the calendar page turns to 2020, because that's really where we're needed. We're needed to be able to stay in that balance regardless of what's going on around us. And that's really what the angels keep saying every time I try to get a sneak peek into 2020. That's they're only giving us that we need to be as strong as possible, as energized as possible, and to show up in our own sovereignty. So I'm pretty excited about what's to come.
I can totally agree with everything you just said. The part about pulling all of your own stuff together and getting yourself solid as energetically as you can and cleaning up, letting go. It's like it felt like I said it earlier today, almost like we've been given this pass to just let all this other stuff, the old stuff, just go. But you have to be willing to let it go. And I know for people, they might say, I'm willing, just I'm letting it go. But actually you can feel the energy of it, right? And they're really not. There's something still within them. And it's not that it's a mental decision. We can't mentally say, okay, well, I'm just going to let it go. That we all know doesn't work. You have to actually, right? I know, but it's you get a free pass, but you still have a little bit of work to do to let it go. But now it feels like that is exactly what's being offered. Is I keep hearing it's like a free pass, because who doesn't want a free pass, right? So take it, everybody. Look into what it is that is causing that emotional piece, especially around the holidays. A lot of things come up regarding family and money and stress and all of those things. But look deeper than what is just showing up on the surface, so that you can do just what Theresa said, which is pull your own self together and tap into that inner power. And inner knowing is really a big one, right? That inner knowing, just like where do you go live? That kept my husband and I stuck in Arizona for probably about 5 years longer than we should have been there, because we just couldn't decide. And we just weren't I don't know if it's that we weren't tapped in. I think it was almost like we didn't choose. Sometimes when you don't have an exact destiny, it's harder to make a choice. I know it sounds silly. We always think, oh, we all want to be free from destiny, right? But sometimes that can almost not be helpful, because you have to choose something.
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
Miss Kari, tell us.
There's just so many things I wanted to respond to all
Go
that you're
for it.
saying, because there's so many parallels. And by the way, it took me, and Theresa, I'm sure you will be very happy in San Diego. I wasn't happy in San Diego, but I feel like my destiny's up in Portland and I fought it for a while. That's why. It's just funny. You know, we all have our place. Actually, you can map out in your astrology where there's something called astrocartography, where your birth chart lines up with an actual map of the planet, and different people have different planetary alignments in different parts of the globe. So there are destiny markers there too. You can actually physically see them. So one of the reasons I love studying astrology and numerology is because it helps. There's patterns because there's celestial weather, and as psychics, because the three of us are psychics and energy healers as well, right? So we can track that energy, right? And I love that astrology and numerology helps track it in a very scientific way, the way weather forecasters can. And the numerology and astrology totally echoes everything we're talking about. So 2020 in numerology is a 4 universal year. And someone's going to want to know, you can just look up astrocartography.
Oh, cool.
So people were like, what is that? So
Yeah, what is it?
Astrocartography is instead of your birth chart as in its own natal chart way, you put it on a map of the world, and it really helps you understand what the energies of each place are. So everything is mapped, and I love that there's numbers, because our direction on the planet is located in numbers. If you want to tell someone where you are, you give them coordinates, right?
Right.
So we are gifted by the universe with numbers and planetary patterns, as well as our own intuition. And all of these things are helping us understand how to interpret what's ahead. And that being said, this 4 universal year coming up is all about grounding and centering and being present. So the intention setting, just like we're talking about, like you're attached to the outcome. Sometimes the intention setting, if you're just doing it because you're like, this is the new year and this is the time I need to set my intentions, it can actually get you in trouble, because then you're setting intentions based on the ego. So it's actually more important that you practice presence right now, just like you and Theresa were saying. So I love how in alignment we all are about that, right? Because we're energy readers.
Right.
The numbers are telling us the same thing. And we begin the year with a lunar eclipse, which opens us up to things that were hidden from us before. Because that's what lunar eclipses do. They all this energy that we've been keeping from ourselves, these intuitive insights that we've been suppressing, will be brought to light. The year ends on the 25th or the 26th, depending on where you live, with a new moon solar eclipse. Again, things coming to light that are bridging this decade, right? With this eclipse portal, the 2 weeks between the eclipses. Right after the eclipse, there's the most dramatic conjunction. Jupiter, Saturn and Pluto are coming together in the sign of Capricorn, which it hasn't done since 1518, so 700 years, right? And so we have 6 planets in Capricorn, which is very much like the number 4. It's all about earth energy. The mountain goat, which is slow, steady steps to build your dreams. So Theresa, you were talking about strength and fortitude. That's all Capricorn, that's all 4 energy. And so it's all about presence. So for me right now, I actually haven't set intention at the moment. My intention is to be present and to align with an expectation that everything is working out for the highest and best. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what my intentions are after that.
I think that's an excellent intention, though. I think, honestly, that's brilliant in its simplicity, because I think that part of the problem about New Year's that I've never enjoyed, nor do I ever fall into it because it annoys me, is this idea that you could have a whole plan for like the year. I mean, I just don't fly that way anyway. So it goes against the grain. I mean, I'm a type A personality. I always talk about it, but actually, I guess it's not really true because I very much do things, whatever it is, from a program in, the work we do or just within my own family based on how I feel or the nudge that I get or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I
I
can sit
do.
down with my family at dinner and go, okay, this is what we're doing. And that's it, right? That was the announcement. It wasn't a lot of buildup for it. So I think that's a beautiful message, and it should take the pressure off of everyone, is to just be in the moment and enjoy what that moment has. And if it's not a great moment, just see it for what it is, send light to it, allow it to move through versus hanging on to it, right? Because it's an opportunity to let it, like I just said, you get a clean slate. So if it comes up, great. That's when you allow it to pass and then move on versus hanging on to that and thinking that you need to think about it some more.
Yeah. Don't think about it. That's not going to help anything.
I love this because this is sort of, I fly somewhere in between. Like you're talking about being a type A personality and intentions, but I feel like so many of us who show up in these spaces just say to the divine and our higher selves, like, use me how you need, right? So we need to still remain open while we're making plans and setting goals. So one of the things I like to do at the last week of the year or the first week of the next year is still do something like a vision board, but it's become a thing where it's like this cork board, and I made one and it says this or something better, right? So I stay open. But then what I do is I do all the quadrants of my life and I put everything up with pins so that I can shift and adjust throughout the year as things shift and adjust with and through me in my life. So it's not this static, stagnant energy, because that didn't work for me. Like you just do it and now you're stuck with it for the year. So, I've found myself throughout the year adjusting it. But it starts me with intentionality, really getting to think about, what do I want to create? How do I want to feel? How do I want the earth to look this year? So it gets me putting like some markers in, but still remaining open around what shape that takes, because there's so many different pieces, including the astrology, the numerology, all of it. It all shapes things very differently. So I love that we're talking about this, because these are really grounded ways that people can start to be intentional with the energy and still remain open.
I love that too. And it is important to have some idea of where you're going, because like you don't just get in a car and plug in the GPS. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't either, which makes me laugh, of course, because it seems to me lately I've had more tech issues than usual, which cracks me up. I just remain about it. Those tech gremlins, they're everywhere.
I just had that yesterday.
Well, I will tell you, we were going to I think it was my son's like Christmas play, and it was at this theater place, and I had in Siri, and I knew where I was going. I had just been there like a week before or whatever, right? And so I'm going that way, but I had Siri, and then suddenly like she had me turn, and then I'm going, how is it that I'm going over the highway? Where the heck am I? I was like, I was on the right road. How did I get over here, wherever this is? It was insane. But anyway, she did loop us around, but it was nuts. And I thought, oh man, you've got to start paying attention. Like I just
Don't
gave
trust Siri.
over.
I don't trust that lady.
Yeah, I gave over my power, right? Even though it was I would have been there in 5 minutes versus 20 extra minutes, which is, I don't understand that. But anyway, so in all of this, right, we're really talking about soul, divine planning, destiny, okay? And I have a question. This is a real question from me, because I find this kind of I don't know. It doesn't exactly work quite in a way, but it does. Like I understand it, but I don't. How's that? So I imagine others out there probably feel the same. So we come in like Carrie, we come in, we have a birth date and a name, and all of these things have numerological
It's a hard word to say. Don't even
meaning, right? We all have meaning, okay? So I mean, when I named my children, I paid for the Kabbalah numerology to be done so that I could name them as best as I could. I know, right? But the thing is, like, I get that this is important, but as we are evolving, how does that change? Does the path, our destiny path, change? As I said earlier, okay, so we have a destiny, but our destiny evolves with us. Do we ever not have a destiny? How do we evoke that next level of destiny? Do you understand? This is a circular question, and I would love your guidance, what you channel. Can somebody explain, as we're going into this uncharted territory, because I really feel like
that's the word I keep using.
Because that's where we are. So what the heck is with destiny? Like, we all talk about soul's destiny, and you know, the soul is everywhere. Everybody's talking about your soul and tapping into your soul because that's the level that we're being given access to. Not everybody is at a frequency to get that. So I want you to just to have at it, because that wasn't a question. That was just Gabrielle throwing out, here's the big thing that I'm seeing. And I know that people out there must be feeling a little bit like, I hear this over here and I hear a little bit over here, and I'm not sure what the heck to think about it.
Gabrielle, even though we're all New Yorkers, no one's going to speak first. So I'm asking you
to Carrie.
Like whichever person Theresa and I are just going to sit here until
Theresa will talk. I know she is. So you go ahead, Carrie. You tell us what are your thoughts on the numerology, the destiny, the whole thing.
I have so much to say about this. Okay,
Good.
so I'm going to be brief as I can.
Oh, heck no. Just tell us. Give it to us.
So just so you know, so one of the reasons, so as a psychic, I think maybe you're like this too, Gabrielle. I specialize in like healing, and one of the things I specialize in was like life planning. And this is how I use numerology. It's like, what did your soul intend before you showed up?
Right.
Why? So like everything, there's a light and a shadow to everything, right?
Yes.
So the numbers, the planets, your name, it gives you an idea of the ingredients that are going into your recipe kind of thing. It's basically like your chemistry, right? So you can look at someone's name and numbers and get an idea, oh, this person is more expressive, this person, like even the name Gabrielle, that's the communication angel. So duh, you like to talk. You like to teach. I mean, your name is no accident, right? So that's your part.
I left the hospital without a name.
Well, that's part of your destiny too. It's like,
anyway,
you're like feeling out the void to see what's there. And that was part of your mission.
I love that.
Nothing's an accident. So you had to find your way in this world in that way. So nothing is an accident. Every letter of your name, every number, it's helped. The fact that you went to a Kabbalah name person was part of your children's destiny. If you didn't, that would be part of their destiny too. Do you know?
Right.
Like
yes.
Nothing's an accident. Your guides are helping this whole thing. You plan your day and month of birth, the time of birth. You plan all that just like you plan your life circumstances. Now, in terms of, so that is your fate. That is the hand you were dealt. Your destiny is how you are playing it. But there's only, especially with the law of attraction, we are taught lately that you can have or be anything. I don't necessarily agree with that, because I feel like there's certain things that your soul intended.
Good. Tell us, because I'm with you on this, Carrie. And I think Theresa, I see her over there shaking her head.
Yeah.
We all agree with this because everyone has a different soul destiny.
Yes.
It is not the same. Mine is not the same as Theresa's or yours,
No.
even though we do similar things.
No.
This is the part that I get frustrated about. with what's being taught out there.
God,
So please keep on.
The universe is not a vending machine. So you have certain ingredients, right? That go into like you intended to bake a certain type of, here it's like Iron Chef. It's like, what are you going to do with these ingredients? Let's make something magical out of them. So don't they do those on those shows? They all get the same kind of freaky ingredients, and then it's like, what are you going to do with it? That's life.
Right.
And then, so our intuition and our spirit guides and the signs that we receive show us, just like a GPS has a destination, right? How are you going to get there? But you do have certain gifts that your soul intended to share in this lifetime. And the universe is going to play a game of like Marco Polo with you until you figure out, like, am I warmer or colder? Getting towards what I'm meant to share, and what karmic lessons do you need to learn? Because you're not going to get away from your karmic lessons. So sometimes it's the thing like, well, why did my intuition lead me into that like challenging marriage or like, rough situation? It's because you needed to learn. And if you weren't paying attention to the clues, then it's going to be harder to learn. And so you have to get into a more maybe extreme situation so that your consciousness wakes up and says, oh, right, I shouldn't give away my power anymore, or I need to do this, or I will always listen to myself about this next time. But there is your soul comes in with a very strong intention. You can take the scenic route. You can get stuck in rush hour if you decide to take the high, how you get there. And there's different paths that you can take. You don't have just one destiny. Maybe you came here to explore your creativity, and that could take many, many forms, whatever it is, but you're not everything. It's specific, and the universe is going to keep showing you, and it's your choice whether you want to ignore the signs, ignore your heart, ignore your soul, ignore your intuition, or pay attention to it. That's what I have to say. But I have so much more to say, but Theresa, I'd love to hear what you have to say as well.
I totally agree with all of that. And it's so funny because I find this frustrating in our culture at large as well. Like in school, if you're really good at 5 subjects, but you're really terrible at science, they focus you on science because you have to pick up your science grade instead of focusing you on what you're naturally gifted at. So everything in our surrounding, at least in this country, is sort of focusing you the opposite way of what we're talking about, where your natural gifts are there. And then you're like, oh, wait, I want to go do this thing that I have no natural ability to do. Now you can cultivate that, but it may take you a whole lifetime. And then you're wondering at the end of your life why you didn't live your dharma,
Your dharma.
So it's really interesting because someone is asking about changing the name. And I found that, a lot of times when people take up a spiritual path, they actually change their names because now there's a new and different resonance to your destiny. Your destiny has shifted. Your destiny has changed. You have taken a very purpose-filled turn in your life. And that was part of what you came in here saying, okay, I'm going to go to Earth School. And these are the lessons my soul needs to evolve, right? So this lifetime, I'm going to focus on judgment, right? So your whole life now, if you look back on your life, you can see whatever that theme is that comes up over and over. That's what you're here to look at this time and to perfect this grade so you can move on to the next. But sometimes when we make a very purpose-filled turn and we focus our life differently, then it involves changing the name because we need to change the frequency, the vibration, the numerology now to reflect that changing path. And so Sharon's asked, well, she was born as Sharon and now she's an Angela. Her mother changed her name. And I think you worked through your first bit of karma very quickly. Whatever that was, you were done with the name Sharon and you had to change over, and your mother intuitively knew that in some way. So that changed your path as all of that changed. So I'm totally in agreement with that.
I have a question. I know I'm sorry, Theresa.
No,
but
go ahead.
I have to ask this. This is so funny. Because what if a child comes out when they're born and like you had a name, but they did not resonate to it at all. Like it was not them. Like that's what happened to my son. I had a totally different name, but when he came out, it totally went like this. It was there was no resonance for it at all. And so, you know, we really pondered it. But anyway, the point is, I mean, can it just be that the person had the wrong resonance and the mother realized that's the wrong resonance for you and I'm changing it? Like just another twig on the tree for having the wrong name and then having it be changed. My mother was going to name me Gretchen. Okay, everybody, right?
Although I think you'd be an adorable Gretchen, I just have to say. I could just see you like with braids, like walking.
Oh my goodness.
So
this
cute.
is, you know, it's funny is my hair is very long, but it doesn't do long. It stays up. So there's no braids. So the point is that I feel like when you are in resonance, like if you intuit, you know when or a name does or does not fit, right? Even your animals,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You know when the name fits or doesn't. If
Well,
you're,
animal names have numerology too, by the way.
I love that.
Yeah.
They're here to learn too, those are animals.
Oh, yeah.
They have their own.
We fostered a dog once and we were like, can dogs be narcissists? Because this one was like, I'm like,
Yes.
it's possible.
That's funny, only because just today I was talking about it with a client and I was saying, you know, everybody wants to say that dogs are just unconditionally loving. I said, and the truth is they're here to learn their own things. I have 2 dogs that are neurotic. And their brother and sister, and you know, they have some definite, I mean, you're like, wow, look at that. I mean, and you can see in your animals a lot of things that we also have as humans, you know, where we have comes down genetically and such like that. But all right, so Theresa, if people feel called to change their name, and this to you too, Kari, so let's say that you change your name based on your resonance, is that because you're on a different path and you are choosing a different soul path? I mean, I guess it, like I'm seeing it like a highway. So I know that we have many choices, and every time we make a choice, whatever it is, that we're, you know, kind of taking an exit here and a detour there, and sometimes we're on the straightaway, and you know, it just depends. I know, right? When you were talking about the highway, Kara, I was laughing because I use the same metaphor in my
Which is
teaching.
funny because I don't drive. I'm such a New Yorker. I don't drive. I didn't resonate with San Diego, and I resonate with Portland because this is a bikey, walky city. So, but I always use driving metaphors.
And there you go. So
ask you about this.
So we want everybody to. How do you know where you are in your soul's journey? Sorry, didn't finish the question. I know it's a tough question, right?
Are we talking about names and this, or just this?
No, I mean, it's not just about the name. It's like, you know, I think that for myself, I know I'm an old soul. And I have known for many years that my purpose is to help heal the mature and old souls, heal their separation, heal their hearts, get through as much karma as they can, right? So that you can then stand up and lead. And I always saw it in a visually, like my job is to get the old souls and the mature souls to their beginning of their marathon. Does that make sense? Like I'm the trainer. I get you guys to the starting line, and then it's your marathon and you get moving. You have your legions of people you need to be helping. That's what you came here for. So step up to your race and see you later. So I've always known this, right? And of course, all along, you don't know how you're going to get there or how it's going to look or what you're doing, right? But I know for myself, like I'm plodding along and I'm cool with that, right? Because it inside feels right. But what about for the people who are listening where they're just still not sure? exactly. They know something. And I don't know about you ladies, and the audience as well, but people are feeling it. It's almost like an inside zzz that's going, right? Yeah. So everybody agrees. So that's only more confusing. How can they dial in? I mean, we know the name and numerology, but what do the angels have to say about it, Theresa?
They've always been my barometer for like, I don't, honestly, if I look at the grand scheme of my soul's evolution, I have no idea where I am, because, you know, people always ask me about past life regressions and stuff. And I'm always like, don't you have enough to deal with in this one? Like, please. Which I'm not poo-pooing that work. I think it's very valid. But for me right now, I have enough to deal with. And what happens is, when I need to know something that's relevant, and I see this with my clients and friends as well, that past life comes up and shows itself automatically, because you need the information from it. And that's been my way, and what I see unfolding in this work that I'm involved in, at least, of knowing where I am on my path, is when there's supposed to be a change in direction, or an opening, or something needs to be moved or shifted, then I know what the next right step is. It's like constant nudging. Like, I don't do it. I'm just like, I'm not sure if that's the guidance. And the angels are behind me, like, you know, and so there's like a nudging, and what we can do. The angels love when we ask for signs, and they love, because we humans can be very dense and not believe ourselves, or
Right.
not think we're worthy of the sign. So ask for it in threes. Just say, I need a sign, and I need it 3 times. And they just think this is the most fun game to play with us. They really enjoy this. So if you're not sure if an action is right to take, ask for the sign and ask for it 3 times, and you'll get it. And you'll get it in the most fun ways.
Okay, I'm going to ask the silliest question.
Mm-hmm.
Are we naming the sign? Or I know, Carrie, you do a lot with numbers, like repeating numbers and such. So
I'm all signs. I'm all about all divination.
So
like,
talk about it, because I have to be honest, I don't use this method, and so I have nothing to add. So fill it in. What are we saying? Just show me a sign, and we're just supposed to know what it is?
If you're getting a sign, you'll know what it is generally, and it'll be that thing that makes you say, that's weird. You know, like one time, no joke, I came home to my apartment when I lived in my apartment, and I opened the toilet to use the toilet, and there was a feather floating in the toilet. Right? Honestly, no one's been in the house all day. There are no birds in the house. So, you know, and so I was like, that's weird, but I'm not thinking this is a sign. I needed it 2 more times, you know? So
wait,
it'll be.
Was it the same sign 2 more times? Another feather somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And so it will be the first time it'll make you think, and then the next 2 times you'll be like, oh, I get it. You know, by the 3rd time you're like, yeah, okay, I'm supposed to do that thing. That's the way I experience it. But I know, Carrie, you probably do you hear a lot about numbers? Because I've been hearing a lot about numbers, 333, 1111, the whole.
Well, I'll see, because here's the thing. I feel that spirit guides and angels communicate with you in whatever language you pay attention to. So because I happen to know the language of numbers, as in addition to other, I was going to say animals, because I get a lot of animal messengers as well, because my husband and I are both very attuned to animal messages. So, you know, I'll get random weird animal situations. And because because I can read the language of numbers, my spirit guides communicate to me through license plate repeated numbers a lot, or receipt repeated numbers a lot, or just repeated numbers, because I speak that language. But if you don't speak the language of numbers, your guides will find it like you speak the language of feathers. So that's why your angel showed you feathers.
I'm going to try this game. I'm going to let you all know what I get, because I don't know about feathers, or even numbers, because to be honest, I don't pay attention to numbers.
If you don't pay attention, then your guides are not going to talk to you through numbers, but they'll pay attention, like they'll give you a dream, because you're very visual. and clairvoyant. So they'll show you, you'll be like, why did I dream of my uncle? And then it'll just help you like figure out what just happened. So they will communicate with you.
Okay. Another silly question. I truly am a newbie about this, honest. I mean, it's not that I don't know about the signs of 3, it's just something I don't incorporate. And I think this is fantastic because, but what about like, so, okay, Angela writes, I see numbers steady, 11, 11, 22, 22 all day long. But if you didn't ask a question, right? Or you're not pondering something, or you're not asking for a sign, what does it mean?
Well, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Theresa. You're laughing, but I'm serious. Like,
I'm gonna let Kari start.
Okay. So 11, 11, 11 is the sacred geometry of the one is a conduit between spirit and matter. That means you're getting downloads. And I know people say it's instant manifestation. It's not instant manifestation. It's that there's a quickening between you and the divine, in the sense that your thoughts and the divine, there's that conduit happening that's very fast, because if you look at the one, that's a straight conduit. The 11 becomes a gateway and a portal into the unknown. That this is the word light adds up to 11 in numerology. The word psychic adds up to 11 in numerology. The word Jesus adds up to 11 in numerology. Merry Christmas. And that is all light. So 11 is the number of illumination. So that means that you're receiving a lot of downloads about your next phase, and you may be frightened of it. So then when we get to the 2s, the 22s, the 2s are about beginning to share it and ground it and make it not just in your head, but out in the world. So maybe her guides give her these numbers. So she says, hey, go look this up, because we have a message for you and we're trying to get your attention. So we're going to like bop you over the head by showing you these repeated numbers all the time. So it's your guides are trying to get your attention in every way, shape, or form, through dreams, through body sensations. Now, I'm very clairsentient, which means I'm very body psychic. So that means I'm very empathic. So I communicate very much with my body. I'll ask my body questions, and my body will give me a yes or no answer. So there's so many ways that our guidance speaks to us. But and Theresa, I want to let you finish, but or speak in, actually. I want to give you a chance to speak, but I also wanted to get back to that thing, the original question, which is, there's so many people that don't know. I have found in my experience that the people who don't know what their purpose is, or don't know where they want to go, have been doing things for other people their whole lives. So I will open that up to you now.
I was going to say, that's a Pandora's box. Thanks.
I couldn't not say that because that's so relevant.
But I think that's really good, because it should set people to sit down and ask, because I know it comes through clients as, I don't know what I want, right? And so that's how I would have phrased it, right? But I haven't ever phrased it the way you just said it, which is really powerful, because most people can't answer what do they want. Like, it's very hard. But so you've been too busy giving and allowing your energy to be consumed in other ways.
Or what's expected of you, or what you think other people want from you.
Yeah, I like that. So I want to know what the audience thinks about that, and what that makes you think about when you hear that, because that's really powerful. All right, Theresa, take it away.
Well, that's so true. And, just to that point, a lot of overgivers can't even, if you say, what's your favorite color? They don't even know, it's like, I don't even know that about myself, because I could tell you, right? Because I could tell you what everyone in my life's favorite color is, but I can't tell you my own. And that's where a lot of us start this journey is, what do I like? And then work from there. So I love that you brought that up. It's so true. And that this is a really hard season for people who overgive, because we go into extended overgiving and we're already depleted and we're further depleted. And then we wonder why, when it gets to the holidays, we can barely get out of bed. So, there's a lot here for people right now. But I do love when we're talking about the numerology and like, okay, well, what if I'm not asking for a sign? And like these things are just, and I love, Kari, what you said is absolutely true. You don't need to ask for your divine team, for your team of helpers to talk to you. They are talking to you all the time. And when a message is really important, they start getting louder and they start finding new ways to reach you if it's not working. So one of the big ways is numbers. And like the 666th time you see 1111 on the clock, you might stop and think, wow, this is weird. I see this all the time, you know, and then maybe you pick up that book and look up what it means. So that's a thing that we do, though. We don't feel worthy of the communication, or we don't feel like we know enough, or we're afraid of the communication, like Kari said. So they will find the exact right way to get the message across. You know, if you're a visual person, if you're a number driven person, if you're somebody who hears things, like a lot of times my husband will get messages through songs, and you know, it's they will find the right way for you. And what I love is that our angels, our divine team, our higher self, like those beings, they all love us so much to spend the time and effort finding the perfect way to communicate with us, a way that feels natural, a way that feels good, and a way that doesn't feel scary, because some people can get shocked right away. So that felt important to say as well. But I love what we're digging into here, for especially now, this time of year. It's just beautiful stuff. Because
I think it's so important, because the other part about the mature old soul cycle, which are the people that are awakening and realizing that this is our time, right? I'm calling it the clarion call has gone out, people. It's ta-da, here we are. But I feel like you had said it, Theresa, about being afraid to hear. And I know in my own journey, years and years ago, when I was in my 20s, I knew that I should be psychic, but I was like, I'm absolutely not going down that road ever again, right? So I totally relate to that piece, right? And obviously that was a while back, and before I started doing personal healing or having it done. So for the people who still feel blocked, like they're not really able to hear, like they may see 1111, but they have no idea how to tap in and get the message. I mean, while you guys were talking, I was thinking about a situation that happened when I was first with my husband. I remember, for me, I travel a lot in the night. My husband used to joke that he needed a Nerf bat because I would bolt out of bed and like scream or whatever, and I would have no recollection at all in the morning. But anyway, that's the fun part, right? And so it's calmed down a little over the years, obviously, as I opened my gifts. So that happened a lot more before my gifts were opened, because I couldn't assimilate what was happening as I was astro traveling, right? So for the people who see these numbers, and the reason this story came up is because I remember that happened one night, and I freaked him out, and he was like, I swear to God, Gabrielle, somebody's going to call the cops. They're going to think that like I'm in here beating you. That was so loud, right? And he's like, I don't know what you're seeing or whatever. He goes, but I am telling you right now, you need to check in and ask what the message is you need. So that's why I was telling the story, was because that was like the big, hello, they're trying to communicate with you. It is not scary, but I was perceiving it that way, even not in my, conscious form, as they were freaking me out. And so that was a big change for me, because I did tap in, and because I was in that energetic of the moment when it happened, and I was still in that semi-conscious state, I was able to do it, right, and get the message. And so for the people that are getting the numbers and they know there's a message, how do they get it? That was a long way of asking that question, I know, but
we love details.
Well, see, it's only because I've lived this. I understand the frustration.
We all do. We all have.
Yeah. I mean,
I
it's
don't think any of
common
us.
for psychic people and etc. to have closed off those gifts entirely.
Yeah, people who are psychic don't typically want to be. I mean, you do because it's cool to know things, but then like to actually go through the lifestyle of like people thinking you're some kind of freak.
You know, it's funny you say that because when I agreed basically to be psychic again because I was that freaked out about the whole thing about going that road, right? Yeah, see, you too, Carrie. And so my agreement was I'm willing to do it, but here's my but. Don't show me anything like horrific. Like that is my fear still to this day.
Yeah.
Is please do not show me a burning planet or you know what I can't do it. And so everybody knows, see, we all have our limitations still. I have not gotten over it. But it's not really important in the work I do. So it's not really a big deal. But for all the people, there are things. So maybe even some messages, perhaps, Theresa and Carrie, if you have, for how people can dissolve those blocks that they might have that are keeping them from being able to tap in and get a message.
Yeah, one of the first things I see is a lot of us had experiences as children that were scary because not only did they affect us and scare us, but then the adults around us were scared and had no idea how to explain or couldn't process what was going on. So we just shut down because that was the easiest thing to do, and it was what was necessary for our survival, at the time. One of the things, I love what you just said, because one of the best things we can do as we open up our gifts again, and our divine team always invites us to this, is to set boundaries, just like we're supposed to be doing with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
With our gifts. So your boundary was, I don't want to see anything horrific, and living in New York, my boundary was, look, okay, I get it. I don't want to feel anyone's stuff unless I am supposed to help them in some way.
Thank you. I'm sorry. That one is mine too.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I don't want to be brushing by people and know stuff. I don't want to know.
The lesson of all for all empaths, for sure.
Yeah, totally. But you have the power to do that. Like each one of us has the power to decide what those boundaries are. And then if we're like, oh yeah, okay, wait, I left this one out. Now this is a new boundary, right? And when we set those boundaries, universe has no choice but to abide by them. They will not be crossed. And if for whatever reason, Gabrielle does one day see something that is or seems horrific to her, it is because she is supposed to do something about it, right? So then that's how we know. And that gives us the power, and that lets us know that the unfoldment will be with total ease and grace. And this was my process as well. I just remember how they fooled me into reopening again was I had like all these electric problems. That's how my closed off gifts like would shoot out of me. So finally I met a Swami who was like, you need to go take this class, learn how to channel that energy because I'm tired of changing my light bulbs. So I was like, okay. So she sent me to this class. I learned how to channel the energy and all of that. And the first thing that happened when I took that class was I went outside and I saw colors brighter than I had ever seen them in my life. And I was like, whoa, like it was my first day on the planet, right? And that was their way of saying, look, this can be really cool. You like this, right? Okay, so now this works for you. They checked the box, and then it was, okay, so now how can we unfold in a manner like this that feels good and brings you joy? And so this was a totally different experience than the one I had when I was a kid. So that's how my gifts started to open, and that's how the dialogue started for me. And I've seen it work with a lot of other people that way as well. So that's sort of the best advice I can give. I don't know, Carrie, what do you have to say about this? I'm so curious.
Well, that's wonderful advice, of course. And the electric stuff is because you're at a high frequency, right? And we are electromagnetic beings. Here's the thing that was most important for me relative to that. And we're coming full circle because we talked about grounding. So your psychic gifts need to be all of your gifts need to be expressed, because the opposite of expression is depression. And if you're like, I don't know what my calling is, I'm not where I should be, it's because you are not expressing something. Yet we're taught to be in our heads and at our heart. So we're taught a few things. We're taught to be like everybody else with what we want and need and how we find security. And we're taught to be in our heads and to doubt our intuition. We're literally taught to doubt our intuition and to only trust logic and reason. So what happens is you meet someone or you go somewhere and you get a weird feeling, but your mind tells you this is good for me. And everything in your being is saying, oh, but I felt like I had like a depressing energy, or that person, like something about their hands seemed really greedy. Like it could be something. And then you go, stop being judgmental.
It's a good one.
Right? So what we must learn to do is to get out of our mind and bring that energy. This is why I ground myself every day. Bring your energy into your heart. Like imagine that your consciousness lives in your heart and that your energy is going down your torso, down your legs, and then rooting into the ground. And then if you feel yourself rushing up to analyze something with your mind, you can go back in your heart and say, how does this make me feel? Not like, is this good for me? What do I think? What am I expected to think? Honest answers. How does this make me feel? And then you can start tapping into your truth. And then the next step is to express that and act on it, which will often lead you on a path that is not what's expected of you.
One of the things I wrote on our email for what we're going to talk about today, which we've done just naturally and organically, which I love.
Of course.
I know. I love it. Best energetic numerology methods for getting your conscious and subconscious mind to be in alignment with your heart and soul. Nice job, Kari. Did you read my notes?
Love it.
This is the part about being human and being spiritual that tends to sometimes this is so funny. Is there like a marble game where you flick the marble and it knocks one out of the way and it goes off in another direction? It's just what I'm seeing. So it's like, this is what happens to us, where the mind takes over. Even for people who are spiritual, or we tend to go, it's easier now, right? It's easier now than it was for me a long time ago. But how do you merge those? How do you stay in alignment more easily? I mean, this feels like, the everyday worries is one of the things that as a marble would knock people out of alignment.
Yeah.
Right? So what can people do to help themselves? I mean, I get the heart part. I'd love to hear from our audience. Where do you all struggle? Where do you get out of alignment? What's knocking you out of alignment? What do you find is happening? And what is the message that you need to learn from that? So you can ask your questions along that line, because I'm sure that you ladies would love to take questions.
Sure.
And help people to figure out what the glitch is. I call it a glitch, but whatever it is, right? Okay, somebody want to take that? When I feel psychically attacked from energetic interference, what can Angela do about it?
Well, okay, so what I love about this question is it calls us right to our own power again. There's so much I want to say here about being embodied, because I love what Kari's bringing with the embodiment piece, because it's so important. But we'll talk about the psychic attack. The interesting thing that I've seen over time with psychic attack is that your thoughts and your beliefs when you get them to a place where they can be in a vibration where you truly know that you are in alignment with the divine, that you are in alignment with love, that you are in alignment with infinite light, when you can be operating from that place in your thoughts, in your inner dialogue, and all of it, then the energy that's coming to you from anyone else who means you harm or who means harm in general cannot possibly affect you, because it cannot enter your field, because your vibration is completely misaligned with that energy. So what then happens is it just bounces right back. And now not only does it have the momentum of coming this way, it's got the momentum of going that way. So when it goes back to where it came from, it has a double strength. So what I've seen over time is the best way we can work through these things that we feel are coming from other people is to really work on our own thoughts, and work on controlling our thoughts, and work on bringing them to the vibration of alignment with love. And that, for me, I mean, I've seen so many things, so many ways to disconnect from the energy, but over time, that's the thing that makes the shift and the change and makes us not vulnerable to that anymore. So I don't know, Kari, do you have experience with this?
Oh yeah. And I know I see Angela saying I do send them love. And I'm going to try to echo what Theresa's saying. It's not just about sending them love, it's about being in your own power. It's not about giving away more of your energy. So one of the things that the archangels have taught me is about the law of entrainment, because when I first started working with the archangels, their energy was so powerful. And this is why I feel Michael is the guardian of the archangels, because he's a badass and he's super strong and he carries a sword and he like slays demons, and he's not afraid of that negativity. And that's why he's the guardian of light workers. And when I started working with his energy more consciously and focused, his energy was so strong that it helped me become strong just by entraining to that energy. So one of the things the archangel told me about is the law of entrainment, because we're empaths and there's an actual physical law in the universe. Not everything's the law of attraction, people. I'm sorry, but there's so many other laws.
Not just that, but it doesn't work on its own. That's what is missing from the teachings. You have to be, you have to be in harmony with all the laws in order for them to work. Okay, it's like trying to drive a car with one wheel, right? I mean, hello. Okay.
Complicated, although unicycles do look like fun. So it's a complicated multiverse, right? And so empaths have been taught old school to hide and shrink, which is the opposite of what's empowered. I love the nods from the two. I love it. It's the opposite of empowerment. So the law of entrainment says, so basically this is how the law of entrainment, and I don't know if you've ever been like at a play and then everyone starts clapping and everyone starts clapping at the same time. There's something too with clocks. There's, the pendulum is swinging. The strongest pendulum, let's say the pendulums are swinging in different rhythms. The pendulums will eventually entrain to each other, so they'll start swinging in unison with the strongest pendulum. So that's the law of entrainment. So empaths have been taught, oh, I'm sensitive to other people's energy, so I'm just going to hide and shrink. And that means you are more susceptible to other people's energy when you do that. And then you're lonely. And that goes against everything that your destiny is as an empath, which is to connect energetically with your emotional intelligence, right? So what's important for you to do is to bring light and strength and power into your energy. This is one reason we ground to the earth, because the earth is a very huge life force energy, and we'd love to keep contributing to that. And the other thing is I cleanse my chakras every day and bring light into my energy field every day, and imagine myself radiating like a giant wattage of light bulb, so that my energy is positive and that I'm going to lift the energy of everyone around me. Like what Theresa was saying, like they can't penetrate you because you have become the strongest energy now. So it's important, and this is why chakra cleansing, grounding, and that actually helps you open up to your psychic senses as well. When you are clear energy, when you're not being influenced by other people's energy, then you can have more clarity in your intuition. So this is why energy, I always say have good aura hygiene.
Mhm. Totally.
It's really important.
I love it. Okay, so Sunny says, I just can't hold the energy in my heart and stay there because I don't feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Theresa.
What I love, just I love how, it's like bringing in pieces, and the thing that we naturally, like Carrie was saying, we shrink. That's our thing as empaths. We shrink and try to make ourselves invisible, so that people don't take any more from us. And what happens is, this is sort of counterintuitive, what we're talking about, because what we're talking about is actually expanding your energy and making yourself bigger and brighter. And what we've had experience with before is telling us, well, the bigger and brighter you are, the more people are going to see you, the more visible you're going to be, the more energy is going to come at you. And that's absolutely true. But guess what? It doesn't matter, because you'll be so big and bright and in your authentic self, in your true self, in your light body, that energy won't have any place in your life unless it is resonant with the love that you are. And then it will just serve to amplify you as you amplify the whole. Anything else will go back. And then what will happen is, when you stand in who you are, when you stand in that light, people will start to experience the consequences of their actions when they try to do things to you that they may not have experienced before. They may have gotten a reaction, they may have gotten a rise, they may have seen that they've affected you, and they've been like, oh good, and now they're actually experiencing the consequences, their karmic retribution for what they've just done immediately, because it's going right back to them. And then they're like, wait, I don't like this at all, so let me stop doing this. So it's this whole thing that, as we stand more in this, and in this cleansed energy, we actually make the changes that we've been seeking so long, by kind of shrinking and hiding and moving around where it feels safe. So what we've actually been doing is counterintuitive, and it's just really interesting, because we shy away from what we're actually supposed to be doing because of what we experienced before. So yeah. Oh,
So,
good. New word for 2020 is expand, says Angela.
expand. I mean, it's funny, before either of you were giving your terrific insights, that's what I was seeing, was that bursting of sunlight out of your chest. Like, even if you don't feel it, know that that's what's happening. I mean, your high heart is here in your thymus area. So just imagine, right, that it's the sun just radiating out from you. And it's not about holding it in your heart, actually. The question is, why aren't you feeling safe? That would be the question you would ask your guides. Why aren't you feeling safe? Because having the light in your heart is the safest. Like, if you're going to hide behind the light, I guess, right? In a funny sort of way. I mean, imagining that light is your shield, is, as the warrior. And I was seeing too, as you both were talking, it's like, if you were to imagine, I'm back every time I talk to you, Theresa, I always see legions of angels. It just cracks me up, because when we first talked, that I hadn't thought about legions of angels in, I don't know, since my Catholic upbringing, when I was a little kid. But as soon as I connect with Theresa, it's just like legions of angels everywhere. And so I imagined, it's like, if you were to imagine that you were part of Michael's legions of angels as a warrior, you're taking the energy of what is already happening and you're inserting yourself into that energy. And until you're able to hold that on your own, perhaps, I'm sure he would accept another warrior, another legion, right? Another person in the legion that is fighting for the light and for the good of all humanity. Somebody else had asked earlier, how are you in alignment with, the good of serving? And the answer is holding as much light as you can and expanding it out of yourself all around. That is the highest service that any of us can provide, because it helps not only us, our families, but everyone we come in contact with, plants, animals, etc., and even the spirit of your home. And when I do a cleanup for my own family, that I call the spirit of our home to receive the cleanup and the surrounding of golden light all around to protect our home and to raise the vibration everywhere that we are, right? So this is important for everybody to realize that energy is everywhere, right? And we want it to support us. And when things, I'm going to say, go south, I have young kids, teenagers, and that's usually all I have to say. So we can have a bit of emotional drama sometimes. Imagine this. And it's not about buying into the emotional drama of it. It's allowing everybody to have their moment of drama, or however long it takes, and then allow it to pass through and reset the energy. And that's how we deal with it here. Like, this is real life. This is how we deal. And so I share that just in the hopes that as everybody is going through this holiday season, especially, and all of the things that are happening that are not always bombarding you, because it's that time of year. Remember that it only affects you if you buy into it. And this is where you become the observer and decide when you participate. And that's an important part of being a master yourself, is knowing when your energy is needed to be in it, or your energy is needed just on the periphery, and you're helping to send the light and expanding the light so that it moves through for everybody's highest and best good to happen, but that you don't have to play. This is a choice. Again, like you had talked earlier, Trace, about boundaries, right? I mean, what is your boundary without having to be like, this is my boundary? We don't need that out there that just triggers other people. It's knowing within your own heart space,
yeah,
this is my boundary, right? And it's not about having to be somebody other than who you are. It's about honoring just yourself, and knowing that's to me the biggest struggle between our idea of service. And this is one of the issues for mature and older souls, is this. It doesn't, we believe that to be of service means we put ourselves last, dead flippin' last. But there's no vehicle here to do the work and to spread light all around me in the physical if this vehicle is not functioning, right? So it's this dichotomy, I think, that we have to resolve and reconcile within your own self. And that part, for where, asking for the message. Why is it you don't feel safe? Why is it that entities scare you? I mean, like my husband saying to me, what are you so scared about? Go get the message. And I'm like, what message? Right? This is the point of the story. I had no idea they were trying to give me a flippant message. If I'd known that, right? And so this is the point. And if you don't have friends that are walking the same path as you, because we all need friends. I spoke to a woman today who was doing a strategy call with me. And, I just said to her, she said, thank you. And I said, sweetie, all you needed was a friend. That's what you needed. You needed a friend to just, here it is. This is what you're feeding me. And this is what I'm telling you that I'm getting out of it. And we all need that. And it's not always as difficult as people want to believe, but it is going to take an action on your part, right? To go out and meet those people. And not every spiritual person is fabulous. Okay, this is where you use your intuition.
Oh my God.
I said it nicely.
Thank you. You're from upstate New York. I'm from the Bronx.
Well, see, you two have more in common. My family was from Brooklyn and Queens.
Got it.
So I have a little bit of the city in me. But
I got it all.
the whole point of all this is we need each other. and we're a community, and that's what we're working to create on the bigger level, I think.
Yes.
It's no fun doing it on your own, is it, girls?
No, and it's not possible because the root chakra is associated with tribe. And that is part of what grounds you, is root chakra energy and having connection with other people and feeling safe. Like a tree in a hurricane will get knocked down if it's not deeply rooted. So a person needs to be deeply rooted to feel safe that other people aren't going to knock them over. So you need other people, friends who get you, and you need to not try to please other people all the time.
Yeah. And this is especially important for those of us who are in female bodies or identify as women, because circling has been part of our soul's expression for so long. And in the last couple hundred years, that's really been taken away from us by the mainstream. And we've been taught to compete with each other constantly. We've been taught to not feel safe around each other, when we could never do the things we did before without a community, right? We would watch each other's children, we would cook together, we would do everything together to keep the village running. And there's been a deep mourning inside of us for that. And so we've been trying to stand in all this masculine energy. At the same time, we have this deep longing and mourning for our community and those times where we circle. And so that is and I was wondering where the divine feminine was going to come, because they had me like dancing before this call, and I knew she was here. But this is it, we cannot, like you said, root chakra, we cannot do this without community. So know what the angels have kept telling me. They keep saying we are connecting etherically, we are connecting energetically, and it will only be a very short matter of time before we're connecting in the physical. But you have to be open to those connections in the ways that we can establish them now, and know beyond the shadow of a doubt that they are there. We are energetically connected, we are energetically supporting each other, and that's really important as we move forward.
It's important. And there is another piece I just want to add, and it's about family, because somebody's asking a question about family.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing. After a while, it doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters anymore. Like, there comes a point where our parents, we picked them for what we picked them for initially. And then as you move along your way, those relationships will either evolve or cut off, and you will move into other relationships. And that is okay. This is part of that evolutionary path. I mean, it's not meant for every person in our family to follow the same path as us, because some of us, like I have 6 siblings. So didn't we talk about this, Theresa? I'm
Wow.
the 5th of 7. So
wow.
I know, right? But out of the 7, we're not all soul-wise the same. Okay, we may be the same family, but some of my family has no idea whatsoever what the heck I'm talking about. But I don't have the need within me to convert them. I'm just like, hey, I love you, and wherever you are is cool with me. I mean, we had my dad's funeral actually a year ago, and it was really fascinating, because with all of us and the kids and the offspring and the spouses and everything, I mean, there's like 50 in the immediate family. But it's allowing everybody to just be who they are, where it's not triggering me, and not because I'm not trying to. So what I want to say is, let it go. Just let it go.
Thanks, Elsa.
Right? Because, well, it's like it just drags you down, and you keep trying to rewrite history. And it isn't about rewriting history. It was what it was because it needed to be. And then you're progressing and letting it go and moving on to the next thing. And you get to choose the next set of people that influence your life and, you know, are supportive of you and, you know, rock out when something happens. You know, I found this is so silly, but I love silly. For people who don't know me, I love silly and I love emojis. I know, right? So I found an emoji that was a parade. So I could give myself a parade whenever I want. Just give myself an emoji. But I actually used it today for one of my siblings, for my brother, because I'm just so proud of him. But it was when we all just let him go to do what he needed to do without giving him advice and without trying to fix it. Just let him be. My God, he totally blossomed. So it's about knowing too that every person in your family has their own divine path. And my only job is to send him light and congratulatory parades when he needs it. But I mean, that's it. If we can just switch it around, right? It isn't always about us. Sometimes it's about us getting out of the way for ourselves and for other people. So it's a dance always, right? Knowing when to stand up, knowing when to let it go. And that you get from your guides and your guidance and your intuition. And that's how you know what has to happen.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah, Carrie?
Yes, totally. And I'm actually doing a whole bunch of numbers while you're talking too. Because
Tell us.
7, because your first name begins with the 7th letter of the alphabet. And I'm like, wow. And then Spencer has a P is the 16th letter, which is also a 7. I'm like, wow, you have a lot of 7s already in your life, which is the number of the soul. And
Interesting.
They like to research and find the truth. They're always digging at the truth. So it's like, wow, that's perfect. That you, and for what you said as well, with the parents, yes, we do consciously choose our parents before we're born. I mean, that's not like, oops, that's a pretty big decision. And your birth family is not always your soul family. It's nice when they are, but it's not always the case. But
it can be a pain when they are. I just want to say.
That's funny.
I mean, we always want to think that the other side is so awesome, right?
Yeah.
But 2 of my children, it's fascinating. One is totally my husband's soul family. We knew it before we ever conceived her or anything.
Wow.
And the other is totally mine. And it's just, it can create its own division because the other children feel like, well, you like them better. And it's like, it has nothing to do with that. There's a totally different resonance about it. So it creates an interesting, I mean, but it's just like everybody going, oh, I want my soulmate, right? They don't realize that it's not always peaches and cream. It also means you have stuff.
Beware when people say twin flame, because you're like, oh, that'll be fun.
We can laugh about it because we kind of know the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's lovely, but everything has its reason for being. And our reason for being is to expand and evolve and grow in consciousness. So however that needs to happen, people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. And I just wanted to touch on something you said before about the legions and Archangel Michael, because as you were talking, you were saying, I'm sure he wouldn't mind another person but the reason that we're all here at this time and our soul has chosen to be here is because we are part of the legions and we are on the front lines. So what they're just waiting for is we have all the tools. They're giving us the support and the tools. They're just waiting for us to show up and take our place. So it's not that they would welcome you because they'll make a spot for you. It's that your spot is already there. That's why you're here. And they just need for you to know it, believe it, and show up. And that's why we're all here. And
that's great.
Yeah, it was really
great
cool
because it reminds me of my show up to your marathon analogy.
Totally. For your parade as well.
And for the parade, you got to show up, people, or you don't get your parade. And no one's going to throw it for you. So, I mean, I just feel like the whole point of everything that you guys have shared has been fantastic, because it all leads to each person becoming empowered, which is where you started us off, Theresa. It is about self-empowerment, and the 2020 energy is going to push you there. I mean, that's the message, right? Is that it's here.
There's no doubt.
I know, but it's exciting. Like, that's what I want everybody to get, is that it is actually not scary. When you look back later, you'll be like, what was I so worried about? And sometimes with all the work we could do with fear, right? And beliefs and all those things, the truth is you still have to take action. There's still an action to take. It can't just be like, okay, I'm just going to sit here and keep working on my issues. It's like, you know what? At some point, you just have to start doing it. You know, in corporate, we used to have this saying, and I know it's out there and everybody knows it. I'm going to just throw it against the wall and see what works. And even in the spiritual and leading and serving, you have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, Theresa? You've had to do stuff you didn't really want to do, right?
Yeah.
And then
you have to try stuff also. You have to just say, well, is this the vehicle or is this the vehicle? Let's just see what works. And it's all about play, you know?
I do know, because it's been really interesting for myself too. I had this conversation out with Ariella Indigo just after Thanksgiving. And we were talking about our year and what it is that we've learned in this year. And I basically said, you know, I just realized over the summer, there was just stuff I don't like doing, and I don't want to do it anymore. And I don't want to offer it. I don't want to talk about it. And I'm not doing it anymore. And she had said the same thing. She goes, oh my God, that's exactly where I am, is I'm not doing this, or I'm hiring somebody to do it because I'm not going to do this anymore. I just want to concentrate on my piece that makes me happy. And so I share that so everybody knows that we're all in this stage, however we're experiencing it, of letting go of stuff that doesn't serve us, letting go of stuff we don't enjoy, and going, you know what? I just really like talking about, for me, it's like, I just really love doing this show. I love getting to talk to you guys and pick your brains and get that higher energetic interpretation, right, of what we're seeing and experiencing. I love doing that because it does answer the mind piece for me, but it brings it all together. Like, you know, like, I'm not crazy. I knew that. I felt that inside. And I want everybody who's listening to say the same or similar stuff. Like, I knew that. I knew what she just said. I already knew that. And that's when we all bring it cohesively into like a community, and we start building on our knowingness, and we validate people's knowingness, right?
Totally.
Yes. This is where I get excited. So for everyone out there, I want to just say thank you. Thank you for being here and sharing this time with us and talking to us through the chat box. I've enjoyed reading all that you've sent us over and participating. And I want to thank both of you beautiful women for being here. My ladies of the light, we're starting a new club.
Love it.
That.
I know, right? Isn't that just you guys, though? You just radiate sunshine. And I thank Michael for letting me back in. I hadn't really thought about, even after our last conversation, Theresa. See, they warmed me up to the whole angel part, because it was with her, Kari, the last time, where I was like, oh my God, I've got legions of angels, and they're just like waiting back there, like waiting for me to recognize, like, hello.
That's awesome.
Isn't that funny?
Oh yeah, that's amazing, and I'm glad that she helped you recognize that.
It's fun. This is what I mean by, this is what we want everybody to get, is that this is already there.
Yep.
Like, right? I'm psychic. I should just know. I never asked. You know, the same thing like with numbers. I'm now going, oh my gosh, I should be using this. But
it's one more way to speak to your guides.
it's just not in my consciousness. And so this is the part about talking, is realizing, wow, there's so much positive for us. So we want to wish everybody just a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and happy 2020, because it's so exciting. All right, everybody. We want to say thank you. We love you, and thank you, everyone, for being here. Much love. Well, namaste, everyone.
Thank you.
That's right. See you ladies soon. I love you. Awesome. All right, guys, you have a good one, and we'll be in touch.
Good.
Bye, ladies. Thank you for joining us on the SoulScape.tv show. Go to SoulScape.tv to access the many free gifts from our guests and for more great masterclasses and panelist discussions.